Hello. I have a candle. We're gonna go sit down at my dining table and talk. Look at my lights over there, aren't they pretty? I leave them on basically like all the time. I'm also gonna shut the blinds so somebody can't look at me. I used to make videos like this all the time when I started my YouTube channel, and they've never been popular, but I don't really care about that. I'm wearing a hat because my hair stuck straight up, and you know, I'm trying to get it to go like not straight up. I want to talk about my life a little bit right now. If you've never met me before, my name is Pan, and I used to make videos like this all the time last year. Do you want to see the candle? I'm pretty sure I made one last year called 420, 2025, and that got really popular actually. So a lot of interesting things have happened recently, and I just want to talk to somebody about them, so that's what I'm gonna do. Did I give you a brief update on my life at large? Okay. Well, I was going to college and studying exercise science a year ago, and I did an internship this summer. There's a crystal in here. And it was awful. I hated it. It was free labor. And when I graduated, I was looking for work. I wanted to be a personal trainer. I still want to do that. And I ended up getting a job at elementary school. And then I got a full-time job, which didn't pay very well at all. And I ended up working at the job. It was miserable for a very long time. And then because of the pay, and just because of the pay. And then I got put on academic leave, which is like being suspended, because some children turned sign language that I had taught them into sexually inappropriate movement. And when they got in trouble for it, they blamed me. So I'm currently suspended from that job. I don't know if I'm going to have that job in the long term. I don't know what's going to happen. So it's been stressful. But my long-term goals are one of my big goals is I really want to be myself on social media and post and turn it into part of what I do for work. And I don't really want to do like comedy content, even though that sells really well. That's not really what I want or desire. It's a little crystal dust here. And then another one of my goals is I really like dancing and I really like singing. And I kind of like acting, and I want to get better at all of them and do more things with them and make money from them. And I just got a job as a go-go dancer, which I haven't done for 2 years. I haven't done go-go dancing. Actually, my biggest dream would be to be a choreographer and a dancer. But I really like acting, and I also really like singing. I would like to just maybe perform singing and acting. That's what I would like, to perform singing and acting. But to do dancing a lot. And I have a background in exercise science, so maybe using that somehow. Using that with my artistic background. I also really like spirituality, so like tarot and crystals and stuff. Anyway, Should we check my hair? Oh God, if it looks really bad. Oh, it doesn't look that bad. Just looks wet. It looks really good if I just like leave it under a hat for a little bit, because it will make really nice curls and stuff. But now, girl. Oh my God. I look like one of those munchkins from The Wizard of Oz. This is how we should do the video, like this. Oh my goodness, this is not what I want. I like it when it's not like, see how it's like all sporadic, crazy? If I leave it under the hat, it will sometimes just give me a couple solid curls, and they'll go in the front. And they look nice. They're like all curled down this way, and I love the way it looks. But right now, it's not gonna do that, so we're just gonna... Okay, maybe that will curl. That's somewhat how I like it. Anyway, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and we'll talk about what's going on right now. We talked about the future. Do you want to know the past a little bit? We can talk about that before the present. So the past, I have a lot of trauma. I was physically neglected as a child. I was emotionally neglected. My parents aren't terrible people. They were just busy people. And I was a highly sensitive child. And they didn't know how to meet my needs in the way I needed. My dad was not a provider, really. It was more of like 50-50 relationship with my mom, although my mom was pulling a lot more weight, which caused some issues in the dynamic and ultimately led to divorce. And I'm on the autism spectrum, but I didn't get diagnosed until later, so it's difficult for me as a kid, because I didn't understand why I was different. I've had problems with addiction in the past, and hopelessness. I have a semicolon tattoo, which means I've tried to end my life, but I kept going. And I'm gay, and got a lot of trauma. So anyway, let's talk about the present. So my dad is coming into town tomorrow. Actually today, because it's 3 a.m. and I'm making this video because I can't really sleep at all. So I was having trouble sleeping, so I just decided to make this video. And I'm kind of anxious about it because I haven't seen my dad in 7 years. I stopped talking to him because his mother died, and she was really important to me. And I had a lot of trauma with that death, and so did he, and he didn't know how to process that. And I didn't want to help him process it because I had my own grief. And a lot of my childhood was regulating my parents' emotions. And I stopped talking to him because I wasn't going to do that when I was suffering a lot from my grandma's death. So that's when I started getting really spiritual. But I haven't seen him in 7 years. And he's coming into town tomorrow. We're gonna spend time together, and it's kind of exciting. But I'm also nervous because I don't want to go into like old patterns. It's a new version of who I am, you know? This is kind of how my hair was. It was like more like straight up like that. And the curl's nice though. It's just what my hair does naturally. I love the curls, love to see them. Anyway, I saw a video of Amy Winehouse tonight, and I saw another video of a different guy who had attempted suicide, and he put a shotgun to the roof of his mouth and pulled the trigger, and he lived. And he was so depressed and so hopeless, and he survived, and he can't see, and he had facial reconstruction surgery, and he has to press a button here to speak, and they had to take his fibula out of his calves to give him structure in his jaw, and he's getting a feeding tube in his stomach, and his life is really hard, and he's really hopeful and really positive. The candle just went out. And it's just so eye-opening to me, because I've been in a place where I felt that hopeless too. And it's like his life, as hopeless as it felt before, became seemingly more hopeless because he can't see, he struggles to walk, eating is harder, and it just gave me perspective of, like, even when you're in a really hopeless place, there's things to be grateful for. You can see, you can eat, you can walk. And some people can't. And the video of Amy Winehouse was hard because it showed her at her last performance, and people were booing her, and she was at such a low place emotionally, and like holding herself and on drugs or something on stage. And it's just heartbreaking to see. And she just probably felt so lost in such a dark place. And I saw this other video of this woman called like Margarita Big, who's got like these massive boobs. And she's a German woman who got these breast implants. And she wanted to get butt implants, but the doctor said no. And she got like melanin changing injections, and it changed her skin to dark. And then she changed her facial features to look like a black woman. So it's a very interesting woman. And I found out that her whole family died in a car accident a year before she got her breast surgery. And I can't help but think that that's connected. That she was dealing with grief and pain, and big boobs was the answer, you know? The last video I saw was about dopamine chasing and how we're so afraid of boredom in modern society that we don't sit with boredom anymore, and we go to scroll on our phone, and we go to get quick hits of dopamine, whether it's social media, sugar, porn, games, cigarettes. Technology especially, and video technology, is such a dopamine instant gratification, and the way it changes us to not want to do anything that requires effort. And it's been set up that way. And so I'm realizing that I have a habit of doing that too, where I look at social media and I doom scroll or whatever. But I also like to create, and I think creating on social media is a completely different experience that isn't just a horrible thing that drains your soul. Because I know a lot of people that just consume, and it will always make you feel bad about yourself. It will always steal time away from you. And when you're balancing consuming and creating, it's a completely different relationship. And I think everybody on social media could be a creator. I think everybody could. Because you're never just a creator. You're a creator and you also consume content. And usually you consume it differently because you like to comment and you like to interact with people's stuff. But it's never... Like, people think we can't all be creators because there's only certain people that can be creators, and there has to be consumers for the creators. And if everyone's a creator, no one's going to be a consumer. But the truth is, not everyone can be a consumer, because if everyone is a consumer, they're not consuming anything because there's no people creating. But everybody can be a creator, because I don't know a single creator that doesn't consume and support other people's content, because you know the work that goes into making content. So, and you're already on the apps. I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, whatever. And so when you see other people doing things like you're doing, whatever your niche is, for me it's like spirituality, gaming, singing, art, whatever. When you see other people doing that, you want to support them because you know it feels good to be supported. And when you're a creator and you know what it feels like to put in the work and to get zero support, you like want to be a supporter of other people more because you get it. You understand how they feel, and you understand how they feel when someone says, I love this, you know, or like some beautiful, elaborate message that contributes to what they posted. Anyway, I want to be a content creator, and I want to be an artist, performing artist, acting, singing, dancing. And I also want to be a like spiritual, I think I would identify as a druid. I'm very witchy as a person, but I identify more as a druid. That's what I want. So being a druid, being a dancer, being a singer, being an actor. I really like Shakespeare, although it's really difficult for me. I've been somewhat excited about cosplay, but just because of the costumes. I just like costumes. And in particular, I like medieval costumes, which is why I also like Shakespeare, even though it's not medieval. It's like, you know, Renaissance-y. Anyway. And I want to be a choreographer for sure. I think that's my destiny, is choreography. And uniting people with my art. And I just want to be public with everything, so I want to put myself on social media through who I am. If I existed 50 years ago, I would want to do all these same things, but social media isn't an equation, so I wouldn't care as much about it. But now it's like not what I want my identity to be, but I want to be seen and visible online with who I am. Anyway, I've been feeling hopeful though, based on the videos I saw of people losing hope or going through things that are painful. I don't know why I'm so restless though. I think it's just my dad makes me nervous. 7 years I have not seen him. So I'm gonna use this thing on my eye because it feels really good. If you're curious, I'm using retinol tonight. It's better if you're sleeping when you use it, but whatever. Also, I went on a date. First date I went on for a while. There's a guy I was dating, and I'm not sure if we're still dating, but I liked him a lot. And he really likes cinema, and we would always go on movie dates. But I asked him recently if he's interested in living with someone, because he lives 2 hours away. And he, ghosted me. So I feel like I scared him away with that. I always date, usually multiple people at once. It's very, very uncommon for me to sleep with people unless we're committed, like boyfriends, because I have standards. I have made exceptions sometimes because I was just feeling the spur of the moment, but that does not happen often. And it's also safe for me. It's a lot safer for me if I don't sleep with people unless I'm dating them, so that way I don't get any diseases, So I like to date multiple people and keep it kind of casual at the same time. Not like 20 guys, but I don't know, a couple. Anyway, so there's this guy that I've been dating for 6 months, but he lives 2 hours away, and then he didn't respond to my message about living with someone. And I don't want to be weird or pressure someone, say, I need to live with you. I just wanted to throw it out there in case he was interested. But living with someone is not a small thing, especially if there's already romantic tension. It kind of pushes you all really quickly into a boyfriend territory, even if you're not, if there's romantic tension between you. So he's probably just nervous because he realizes it's a dream come true to live in the same place as me, okay. Anyway, so there's this other guy that's come into the picture, boy number 2, who came into the picture maybe a week ago or a couple weeks ago. And he is a music teacher at a high school. And he expressed interest towards me on Instagram. He slid in, as they do. And he was flirting with me and doing things on the messaging. And I just basically, he asked a couple of questions about me, and I said, I'd love to tell you more about myself. Why don't you ask me out on a date? Because I'm not going to sit here and banter on social media for 10 years. You're going to ask me out on a date if you're being flirty, and I'm going to tell you you need to ask me on a date. I'm not going to give away my whole life story over a DM. You need to take me out to dinner. Okay? This guy even asked, oh, well, maybe we could go to coffee. And I said, does this look like a coffee date kind of boy? This is a nice dinner date. You're taking me somewhere nice. You're paying. Period. Okay? I do like a man that pays for the date. I love that. Unfortunately, a lot of boys cannot afford that, or, they're struggling. But when they can, even if it's hard for them, I really like it when they do that. It's the kind of man I want, actually. Who pays for everything, okay? I just want to sit at home and dance and make YouTube videos, okay? And he goes to work and pays all the bills, okay? And gets the food, the money so we can have food. And, I'll be domestic and creative. That's what I want to do. So anyways, so this man took me out on a date, and it was a nice date, and we talked, and then we went to a bar, and it was my first time out being sober. Was it? I can't remember. I think it was 2 days in a row. So I went out for an event, and then I went on this date. And it was my first night out being sober. Like both nights. And I had a alcohol-free beer, which they make, which is kind of weird. And I drank that, and it tasted like a beer, but I didn't get drunk. And I quit alcohol in December, and I'm going to choose to commit to it, even though it's hard, especially when you go out or you go to the grocery store and you want to buy like a bottle of wine, or I like Jack Daniels. I liked that a lot. Or I like getting cans of beers, just keeping it at home. But I'm deciding to quit, so I decided 4 months ago. Anyway, I'm doing my cleaning business still. That's something I started with this YouTube channel. I started my cleaning business, and I clean for people pretty frequently. It doesn't make enough money to pay all my bills, so I have to have other work. But I did get a job as a dancer, so... But the cleaning jobs are very slow. It's slow to take off, and right now I probably make about $500 a month consistently. And, you know, sometimes you'll have sporadic clients here and there, but what I really want is like clients I see every month. And I'm really proud of myself for starting a business, because it was really hard, and I had no support. I had no support doing it. I just did it by myself. And I knocked on doors. and asked people if they wanted cleaning. And everybody said no, except for like this one 90-year-old lady who was like one of my first clients. And I posted a Craigslist ad, and this other guy saw it, so, you know? I'm really happy. I don't want to clean forever. It's not on my list when I talk about my future. But I started a business, and it makes more money than any other job I've ever had. And I'm good at cleaning. And no retail job or barista job or janitor job pays me what I'm fucking worth. Because I do really good work when I clean. I'm very thorough. I care a lot. I have a really good eye. I have an exceptional work ethic. I try to bring the best products I can. And I've worked with janitors. I've worked in retail. I've worked with baristas, and people are fucking lazy. They're lazy, and they're working as hard as they're getting paid, which is not much. And I realized very early on that my work ethic and cleaning was a higher standard than most people I worked with. And that means it's worth more. And I should be charging more, and I should be paid more for that value. So that's why I broke away from jobs doing cleaning, and I started my own thing, even if it required a lot of courage and was kind of cringy at first. But I'm really proud of myself for doing that. And I may keep that until money feels really stable. I've had to work for everything, dude. I'm not a trust fund baby or a Nepo baby. Although sometimes I wish I was. It definitely looks easy, you know? Not have to worry about starving or healthcare. What a wonderful way to grow up. But there's a lot of wealth disparity and separation in the US, and it can feel very isolating if you're poor, which I've been poor. Like, a lot. Like my whole life, girl. But you know what? We're doing what we can to become rich. As rich as we can be. I think in a balanced society, there's a range of wealth identities. I don't think everybody should make the same amount of money because not everyone brings the same amount of value. However, things, when they become so polarized that you can get so wealthy that you can buy an island as a person, not as a country. Like if a country buys an island, that's different, you know? That's like an extension of the nation or whatever. But people buy islands because they have that much money, and they buy like 3 yachts that are worth millions, and they buy 3 properties and rent one out, and one is like an Airbnb and a vacation home, and they make profit off of that, and they compound their wealth by investing their wealth, and then they never reinsert their wealth into society, and it creates issues because the money isn't flowing. It's being hoarded like a dragon hoarding money, like Smaug, the dragon. And then what happens is the systems don't have enough funding. These systems that protect people at the bottom don't get the resources they need. So those people, like me, are unprotected, and you don't get health care. There's no health care. Or they don't pay the schools education that well because they're not getting that much funding because the wealth is being hoarded by the very, very rich. And healthcare, it's not being invested into public healthcare. So what that means as well is like nurses and doctors aren't getting paid appropriately, and teachers aren't getting paid appropriately, so people don't stay in those professions. I was great in an elementary school, but I cannot feed myself, and I'm working 40 hours a week. So I'm going to leave and say, fuck the kids. It's not my problem. And healthcare workers do the same thing, where they're like, I can't pay for myself working in this field and it's burning me out, so I'm going to quit. And they quit, and then it's just like not enough people willing to work in healthcare for really, really bad pay. And so we have so many people who don't have doctors because there aren't enough doctors working. Not that there aren't enough certified doctors and stuff. It's just that not enough people are working. And even if they are working and you do get an appointment, you may not have health care, and you may not be able to afford the payment it requires to see a doctor. And that's been the reality for decades in the United States especially. There's such a polarization of money, where we have these stupidly wealthy people who sometimes they're just so detached from poverty. They were able to climb out of difficulty themselves, and they assume that it's possible for everyone, not seeing the obstacles in place and having compassion for people that have completely different circumstances. Very rich people oftentimes, like, they like to assess their mindset as a place of, I'm just like everyone else, and I had similar opportunities, and I have the same capability, and I'm a human being, so nothing human can be alien to me, and I can accomplish anything I desire and set my mind to. and they just don't. It's just the lived experience of living for decades, not just 6 weeks in an immersive program, not just 6 months in an immersive, but decades in this survival mode, compounds and creates so many obstacles that are so hard to understand and conceptualize until you live it. That's why I'm so fucking proud to have been a person who's lived through great difficulty, because I will never forget that experience, ever. I will never forget the experience of being suicidal and being homeless and not having any support and not having healthcare and working full time and making $400 every 2 weeks and not being able to afford anything. And understanding completely how people would, in that circumstance, turn to a bottle, turn to a drug, turn to self-numbing to escape from this hellhole. Doesn't matter. I've worked dozens of jobs, and it was all the same thing. And it's not because the people are the problem, it's because the system is the problem. And systems are hard to change because they grow roots and establish over long periods of time. And capitalism is a great thing, and it's also dangerous when it's in the extreme. It creates polarities. Without capitalism, there's so much less freedom, and we need that freedom, but also it creates a lot of issues with not the right checks and balances. Look at my skin though. Anyway, it's like 4 a.m. My dad arrives at like noon. I don't even know. I have all this laundry to do. Do you want to see? Look at that bin. You see it? It's that bin right there. That whole bin. Look how beautiful my apartment is, though. I have like a whole apartment. Isn't that incredible? Look at my couch. Look at my dining table. Look at all of this beautiful. That's my gaming setup. I paid $2,000 for that computer. I have been paying it off for 2 years with a loan. And I bought it because I really am serious about my future with content creation. And this little light thing I got for free, that was a gift. I don't know how much it costs, but I feel very lucky. It's given to me by a family member on like Christmas a couple years ago. And I have a bedroom, and I have a bathroom, and I have a bathtub, and I have a kitchen, and I have a stovetop. I'm living. It is hard to have been working full-time at an elementary school and be running a business on the side to afford to live like this. My rent isn't crazy, but it would be cheaper if I was in a smaller place or had roommates. So that's why I don't like to complain. But my healing has happened a lot by living in this space. My safety and trust with myself has grown because I live in a space by myself that feels like a home, with a living room and an office and a dining room and a kitchen and a bathroom and a bedroom and a patio where I can garden. Like, this is really special for someone who has had nothing in the past. This is really special, and it's worth all the work that it takes to keep it. So, and I have skincare. I buy my skincare. Granted, sometimes it's like hard to buy that, but I still make it happen and buy my skincare and buy groceries. That's about all I spend money on, though. Groceries and skincare, and then bills. I sometimes will get like fast food, but that's kind of why I wish I had a boyfriend, because boyfriends will spend money on you. That's what they're there for, okay? Spending money on me. So I can do fun things. That's why I don't want a dusty boyfriend. Dusty boyfriend who no job. You know what sounds better than having a dusty boyfriend with no job, who's unemployed? It sounds like taking care of a child. That's what that sounds like. You know what's more fun than taking care of a grown man child with no job and no employment and no money? Taking care of myself by myself. It's cheaper. Why would I invite a man into my life who's unemployed? I'm sorry. If you're a grown man and you have no job, or not getting a retirement fund, you're gonna have to look for a different boy. I am not the one for you. I need an employed man bringing home cold, hard cash. That's my priority in a man, okay? Okay. Anyway, I'm really happy I got to talk to you. Are we at 10%? We're kind of losing battery, so it could die and the video could end. Shall we keep using our thing? So I'm feeling very hopeful about life. Do you want to know the things I've been doing to build the life I want? I'm trying to read a monologue a day. Sometimes it's hard. I also should probably reassess my relationship with dopamine, particularly social media. Make sure I'm not just doom scrolling. Because I tend to not read as much when I'm doom scrolling and stuff. And you can really accomplish a lot of dreams if you just sit in your boredom a little bit. You get a little bit bored, and that's okay. You'll end up wanting to do something like cook or sing or dance. Do you want to see me dance right now? Okay, we'll do a mini dance party with no music. Okay. Okay, that's all you get. You want to see any more, you gotta pay. Okay, you better pay up. You don't get no more dancing unless you pay. Okay. This hat is really cool though. I love it. It matches my shoes. I got new shoes for my dancing job as a go-go dancer. I've been taking ballet again. I've been taking modern dance classes again. I have not taken them for fucking 7 years. I have not taken modern dance for 7 fucking years. Everything in my life fell apart 7 years ago. And I stopped dancing and I stopped singing and I got really depressed. And video games became the only thing I did. And that's why I was wanting to end my life, and the work I did felt so meaningless, and I dropped out of college. which I was going for dance. I want to return to the college I was at and finish what I started. "11 years ago. Fuck. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. 10 years ago is when I declared my major as a dance major. So I have to go back. I want to go back to that school and finish what I started for myself. And I plan on doing that. You get to watch it. The biggest priority right now is making the move happen. Because the thing is, I like my life here. My life here in New Mexico is comfortable. It's fun. It's becoming what I want it to be. I had wanted to move at the end of last year, and I didn't have the money to move because it costs at least $3,000. And I love so much of what I built for myself here. So much of my life. Like, my life is so good here. And to uproot everything just to go prove a point to myself, you know? That I can finish what I start. It matters to me, and it's also really hard because it would be cheaper if I got rid of all my life, the furniture that I worked years to collect or wait for it to find me. I would have to get rid of it. And I could move in a small little bit, but I would be starting fucking over, completely over. And that's hard. I know it's hard because I started with nothing, not a table to eat on. 3 years ago. 3 years ago. I have grown so much in 3 years, living on my own. And so I could also save money, the proper amount of money to be able to, because it's always feeling like one more thing. I want to get orthodontic treatment, and that would be like a year. And I can't start that until like May, which is next month. It's just adding one more thing and one more thing and one more thing. And I just started working as a go-go dancer, and that's really working well. And my business cleaning is kind of taking off. And it seems like it's further and further from getting back to where I started in a college in Washington State. Not like, how do I move there? How do I get there? I don't know. I don't know people up there, and I haven't lived with someone besides a family member for like 6 years. And I don't want to live with someone because I don't like other people. So it's really weird and hard and complicated. And that's where we're at with that. But right now I'm just focused on the steps that are in front of me. And regardless of if I make a big move or a small move, I need to have at least $1,000. And that's the priority. So that's what we're doing. I thought the elementary school job would give me that. It did not. It gave me poverty and full-time work. So now we're going to try dancing in my business, and Maybe I'll look for more work, I don't know. But this elementary school job is garbage. It's shit. I'm gonna be uncensored, okay? It's shit. It's not sustainable. I cannot live off of $400 a paycheck, $500 a paycheck. For 40 hours? You kidding me? Mm-mm. I would make more as a waiter, dude. Granted, you have to get tips, which is stressful, but anyway. We have our eyes set on the prize. We're gonna keep singing. This new guy that I've been dating is a music teacher, so he really likes music and gives me access to more musical things that I didn't have access to before, which is a big part of my dream. And I'm taking dance classes again. And I'm kind of like trying to practice acting stuff. And I'm very spiritual. I'm practicing that. Getting a personal trainer certificate requires money. Requires like $1,000. Everything requires money. Everything. You want to move, money. You want to get certified, money. You want healthcare, money. You want to get orthodontic treatment, money. Everything revolves around money. And it's such a difficult thing to access when you're poor. And have been a very long time. But you know what? I'm trying to work upstream against this broken system. Because I know it's broken. I know how it is in other countries. And it's not like a third world country, which is what America is. America is a third world country disguised as like a luxury country. We have shit policies and shit like systems. They're so garbage. They're so trash. They're so out of date. And they're enabling the wealthiest people in the world to live in this country and to go unchecked. We don't hear about multi-billion dollar people living in France. Okay? You don't hear about that. Everybody in the world knows about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg. And there is no one else globally who matches people like that. And that's because of the system in the country that those citizens live in that allow for compounding wealth. So, long term, it might be a good idea to get out of the country. But for now, it is what it is. I'm here. Okay. I'll post this, but I'm gonna go now.